It's time for Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network. Tiger Talk, live from the Golden Q in Hayes. The Golden Q, dining, billiards, and a whole lot more. 2 blocks east of campus. The Golden Q. If the game is on, we're open. Tiger Talk is also brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, banking one story at a time. The Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, expertise, technology, and compassion, all right here. Adams Brown, strategic allies and CPAs. BTI, your John Deere dealer in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family. The Taco Shop, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. You've never had it so good. G&L Tire and Automotive, complete automotive service and repair, and tires for all driving needs.
And a good Monday afternoon. Welcome into Tiger Talk. Gerard Wellbrock with you as we are live at the Golden Q today. We'll be talking Fort Hays State basketball. Women's coach Tony Hobson and men's coach Mark Johnson join us. Tigers coming off a couple of big wins on Saturday. The men and women both winning up in Kearney against the Lopers, and now getting set for the women a really extended road trip. 3 games here this weekend. Spreading into Monday with the makeup at Northeastern State. Starts on Thursday at Newman, Saturday in Edmond against Central Oklahoma, and then for the women Monday in Tahlequah against Northeastern State. Again, Tiger Talk brought to you by the Golden Q. They're just 2 blocks east of campus. Of course, have their daily food and drink specials, the burger of the month, and a whole lot more. So swing on by the Golden Q at the game's on. They're open. And we bring in the coach of the Fort Hays State women, Tony Hobson. Quite a ball game. Your team's starting to develop a trend, fall behind by 14, then come back and win. They did that last against Pittsburgh State, I guess a little over a week ago. They did it again Saturday. I'm sure you would prefer a different approach, but the final result has been nice.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is kind of an outcome-based sport. You know, you just want to have the right scoreboard numbers up there at the end, but still, it's not something you really plan on. It's we don't talk about, hey, let's see how far we can get behind. So it's a really good comeback. We just got off to a little slow start, and part of that has to do with them. Mm-hmm. I mean, they got off to a good start and made a couple shots. They had a bank 3 in there that we paid them back later in the game on and returned it. But
same goal.
Yeah, I don't know. We're a hot and cold running team. I mean, when we're not very good, we do a good job of that, and then when we get going and we're good, we do a good job of that. So pretty inconsistent at times right now. It'd be a lot easier on the pacemaker if it wasn't like that, but it is. And the main thing that you know you're going to have ebbs and flows in a game, and you just have to make sure that your kids will not lose hope and quit competing and playing hard, because you know you see it all the time in all sports that you know teams come back all the time, especially early. And you know we're behind 14 in the second quarter. You got a lot of game yet to play, and you just have to just start grinding it out right then and try to cut into the lead a little bit, which we were able to do a little bit before half and cut it to 10. But yeah, it's a deal. You don't want it to happen, but it does sometimes.
And to your team's credit, never felt any panic, and they probably shouldn't have. And just in the sense, one, they came back the week before, and I know Pitt and Kearney, totally different team style and all of that. But, I mean, you had a 20-point deficit, and some of these gals were a part of that and came back and won a few years ago. And then the 14-point. Never since panic, but yet it was getting close just because of the way Kearney plays and the tempo. I mean, 14-point deficit is like 22 or 23 in other games.
Yeah, that's true. Just because of the pace of the game usually, and that's why we tried to change things a little bit at half and maybe just change the pace and change the tempo of the game and make them do something different. We had a couple things in mind, and we were going to start off with what we did, and it worked, so we never went to the next phase. But it was good. Our kids, it's such a momentum game. We got excited, had a couple steals, couple scores, hit a three, get going, and then all of a sudden their shots aren't quite falling as easy. They're not getting as good of looks, and it goes both ways. You're shooting a little better, and they're shooting a little worse, and it starts narrowing, and then pressure comes into play, and we've got, I think, really good pressure players. So
it's fun, you put on that pressure in the backcourt, and I think maybe that's a misconception when teams do that. It's not always to get steals and get easy baskets and layups. Sometimes it's tempo, and I thought in this case, Kearney just you forced them a little bit. It was a little tougher to get it up, and then they couldn't get in their offense because when they were clicking early, I mean, there was ball screen after ball screen. I mean, they were really making you work in the half-court defense, and it just seemed like they didn't get as much time to do that, and they had to shoot quicker than they were accustomed to early in that ball game because the pressure kind of changed that tempo around.
Yeah, the first half, they get shots from certain spots, and, that's what people practice all the time. Backus likes to shoot her three from the out in front. And so on. So you take them out of it a little bit, and I mean our pressure. I mean it was softy. It was softy pressure. I mean it's kind of a backup soft little zone that does just what you say. It just changes the tempo a little bit. Every once in a while you might get a steal. Lauren made a good jump on a cross court pass and shot a layup. That was a big play. And but mainly it's just change things up a little bit and give it a different look. And again, you have about all the adjustments you make at halftime. That's about 20% strategy, about 80% attitude.
Yeah.
And anybody that's ever raised kids and has had an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid in the house, you can understand why from 1 minute to the next it's completely different. I mean, you know exactly what we're talking about, and that's how it is with teams, with college teams. That's what makes it so exciting, is because you're dealing with young people that that's just the nature of the being, and you see it even with. I mean, you see it in professional sports too, so it's athletics are like that.
Well, Tigers get a big comeback win, 76-63. We'll talk a little bit more about that second half because it was completely different than the first half when we return. Tiger Talk is brought to you today by G&L Tire and Automotive. They've got tires for all driving conditions and budgets, along with complete automotive service and repair. That's G&L Tire. They're just east of 8th and just off 8th and Main on the bricks in downtown Hayes. More with Coach Tony Hobson after this timeout. This is Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction. Here's an inbound to Dilsaver, starts to drive, now to West on the right wing, back to Kate, she'll fire up a three, and she swishes it! Kate Dilsaver had 3 threes all season, she's hit 2 in the quarter, 35-27. Fort Hays State cuts it to 8. Yeah, part of the comeback in the second half on Saturday, the Tigers beat the Lopers 76-63, about the last 25 minutes. Man, it was fun to watch. Fort Hays State played well, and you had Katie Wagner in foul trouble, and you need someone. And boy, Kate Dilsaver back in the state of Nebraska, her best game. She hit a couple of threes. She banked a shot in, and you need someone maybe out of the norm when you have those situations. And boy, she was there for the occasion.
Well, she certainly was, and it was a great timing, and we certainly needed it. The good thing about her, there's several good things, but defensively she's very good on the ball. But she's also big enough that when we switched off and had her guarding the post, especially the second half, she actually got her hands on several balls. She does a good job of getting around in front, and she's just long. and very, very athletic. So she did a good job on both ends of the floor. You sometimes forget that she's just this is her first year, and you're right. You just need somebody that sometimes just out of nowhere just comes and helps you do what you need to do as far as the comeback is. You had some of your normal players in there. You have Jaden making some plays, and Whitney hitting some threes, and Katie the second half. They all scored in double figures and were big parts of it. But then you have somebody like Kate Dilsaver, and then you had Lauren off the bench that had a 4 or 5 minute spurt like she has those where she just bullied him to the basket twice for short shots. She had a steal and a layup, and so a good team has that happen a lot. And we've got several different players that can step in and have a big game. When we're, like you said, we had Wagner in foul trouble, we had Olivia in foul trouble, and they sat a lot, and you have to have somebody come in and pick it up. And I thought Bergman did a really good job too. She had a nice game against them, shot a good percentage, and is active on the defensive end. So we had really good bench play and solid starters. Galladay hit a big three. Jaden hit a big three in transition during that little run. Really, that little run was about a 20-minute run.
Yeah. Well, and I thought key too. I think it was 10-2 to open the quarter, so you got it to a 2-point game really quick.
Right.
And then it was kind of just back and forth, your typical game as we kind of thought it might be. But how important was that just to cut that gap that quickly? Not that you couldn't have done it, but it was like 2 minutes in and you're kind of dead even.
Well, let's just reverse it. What if they go 10-2 and you're down 18?
Yeah. It might be over.
So what are you thinking about then? Then you're thinking, well, you weren't panicked in the first half, but now you sure are. So yeah, it's kind of important to just set the tone and say we're not going to go away easy, and it kind of, you're almost saying it to yourself instead of to the other team. And then they did. They got it back up to maybe 7, but we responded right away and cut it back down, and then it was just. They scored the last basket to go back ahead right at the end of the third quarter, so we're down 1, and then the fourth quarter we just really tended to business and took care of it.
Yeah, scoring 22-8. You mentioned the foul trouble. I thought when she was finally able to play and get in the floor, I thought Katie Wagner played great defense without fouling. Olivia, too, and even Randall kind of got in some foul trouble at the end. Thought you guys adjusted to the way the game was being called and defended without fouling so they could be out there on the floor.
Well, that, and you just want to – they're pretty good free throw shooters, so you just want to keep them off the line. Because they were struggling scoring against us the second half. We decided to do something different on their on-ball screens that were giving us trouble the first half, and then the little three-quarter court press. So, you just want to keep them off the line, and when you're as efficient as we were from the 3 line and from the free throw line, it just keeps your momentum going. You can't get fouled and then miss 2 free throws. It just it's a buzzkill, and it takes the air out of you. You just have to have those to maintain your little rally.
The Tigers get the big victory, come from behind fashion, 76-63. Now alone in first place atop the MIAA, heading into another busy stretch. 3 more road games on this 4-game swing, and they're all going to be in a short period of time. We'll talk about that and more when we return. But right now we're at the bottom of the hour, so let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network.
With a combination of Kaiser Liquor and Fort Hays State Athletics, you're sure to be into something good.
In a way.
Kaiser Liquor and 14 KAYS Hays.
Tiger Talk brought to you by Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, here to make every story shine brighter. It's the way they do banking, one story at a time. You can check them out at goldenbeltbank.com. We'll take another break. More with Fort Hays State women's basketball coach Tony Hobson here on Tiger Talk, along the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction.
Fact: 8th Street Liquor is where good times start. Next fact: 8th Street Liquor has the best selection and prices on beer, liquor, and wine. Okay, I don't want to bore you with all the facts, but the fact of the matter is, you just can't get better than 8th Street Liquor. Yep, 8th Street Liquor, where good times start. That's the fact. Jack? Oh yes, they have plenty of Jack too.
Here's Dill Saber over to West, trying to drive in right wing. Out to Wagner. Pump fakes beyond the arc, but doesn't shoot it. Now does, and she knocked it in! Katie Wagner knocks in the three. We're tied at 51. That's her first three-pointer of the year. She had been 0 for 8. Yeah, pretty good time for Katie to hit her first three. Helped the Tigers with a comeback win over Kearney on Saturday. Tiger Talk brought to you by Adams Brown, where they do more than just run numbers and file tax returns. They work hard to become strategic allies. That's Adams Brown, strategic allies and CPAs. We're live at the Golden Q. Of course, they have their daily burger and drink specials, not to mention the burger of the month. Of course, if the game's on, Big 12 Big Monday tonight, come on out to the Golden Q. If the game's on, they're open. Gerard Wellbrock, head women's coach Tony Hobson, talking some Fort Hays State women's basketball. Tigers back into first place in the MIAA after their come-from-behind win over Nebraska Kearney on Saturday, 76-73. We did have a question emailed in this week, and again, you can do that. Go to FHSUathletics.com. Look for fans. You'll get a drop-down menu there in the very bottom. You'll see Ask the Coach, and if we use it, you'll have a chance to win a $25 gift certificate here from the Golden Q. And basically wondering, what is your typical game day routine, both home and away? Obviously, a little bit different for each one, but how do you normally go about a game day when you're at home and then when you're on the road?
Well, when we're at home, if it's, let's just say, a Saturday game, 2 o'clock, we have a shoot-around from approximately 10 to 11 in the morning. Then we have food for the kids in the locker room, so pregame meal, and then we come back. Everybody's usually there by 12:30, and you get prepared and away you go. So the things we do at our shoot-around, we do some inbounds defensive strategies and just go through their stuff and mainly just warm up your body and get you thinking about the game, take a few shots. And we don't have a full-blown practice like some teams almost do. And then on the road, it just varies depending on where you're at. And for instance, at Kearney, if you play an early game like we did on Saturday, we usually go up the day before. We get there late afternoon, and we'll head over to their gym and just shoot around a little bit. Don't even really, it's just in sweats, and take a few free throws, look around. And if anybody saw me laughing a little bit at that highlight of Katie making her first three, if you knew the conversation that Katie and I had the night before in Kearney's gym, you would understand what's funny about it, because she's out shooting threes, and she looks over and she goes, Coach, do I still have the green light to shoot threes? And I says, yeah, you got the green light. She says, well, I think I need to shoot it earlier in the game, because late in the game I'm too tired. So, she's been setting all day, yeah, and set the first 5 minutes of the third quarter, and within about 2 minutes when she went in, so she had fresh legs.
So for her, it was early in the game.
Had the green light, but yeah, I thought it was funny.
Well, it was a big shot, and obviously
good time for it.
It was a great time
place.
for it. Yes, it was, and the Tigers get the win. And as we said, busy stretch. We talked about a little bit last week, leading into this week. This is going to be a big 4-game stretch, all on the road. You got by the first hurdle, an nationally ranked opponent on the road, but now you've got you got to go to Newman, which again they're struggling. Which I would think for you on the road, it's a scary game because you have a good Central Oklahoma team waiting, and then you've got that Monday game, so it's going to be a different road trip than you're normally used to, starting here on Thursday in Wichita. And boy, anytime you face those teams, they've had a rough year. Beating Fort Hays State would be their Super Bowl, so to speak. It would make their season. Well, it would.
Our road trip's going to be 2 days longer than the normal one. And you do have a couple landmines to avoid. Newman, I mean, realistically, if we just take care of our business and prepare and are ready to play, we should be able to get through that one. I mean, I'm not trying to be arrogant or anything else other than just kind of honest. And they're struggling, and we're not right now. We have been a good road team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're playing. I'm not sure we don't play as good or better on the road than we do at home. The next 2 games with Central Oklahoma, they're very talented. That'll be a tough one. They played us really tough at our place earlier, and then Northeastern's had kind of a resurgence here.
Yeah.
They haven't beaten anybody, but I mean they lost on a buzzer beater to Pitt at Pitt, and then they go to Southern and play them to 8. Both those away from home.
The Kearney game Monday was
it was still a 4-point game halfway through the fourth quarter. So, especially on the tail end of a 5.5 day road trip and 3 games in 6 days, that's going to be a tough one. You play at 2:00 on a Monday afternoon, and it's not. It's not a holiday. We're not playing on Christmas Day or anything. It's not televised. So there'll be sun coming through the windows up. Half the court will be in sunlight. So it'll just be different. And we just have to really just tend to our business and maintain our focus of what we got going, because we've been really up and down, and if we catch one of those down spirals for a whole game, any one of these teams can beat us.
Well, it's to the point now you kind of got through the Kearney game. I mean, you're in first place. Destiny's in your hand. I mean, in a way, you control what happens from here on out after getting that victory.
Well, yeah, and it was in our hands going up to Kearney, and you just have to, there comes a point where you just, if somebody's going to beat them, it needs to be you, and because you can't count on anybody else taking care of your dirty work for you. So I just hope we don't have a letdown by, we beat them and now we can, because we've got a lot of ground to cover yet, and we can do some good things, and we just have to maintain our focus.
All right, sounds good. We will see you down in Wichita on Thursday.
Okay, sounds good, Gerard. Thanks.
Tony Hobson, coach of the Fort Hays State women. Again, Thursday, 5:30 from Fugate Gymnasium, the Tigers and the Newman Jets. Tiger Talk brought to you by the Taco Shop. Dine in, carry out, of course, fast delivery. You know the number, 625-7114, or you can use their handy Taco Shop app. The Taco Shop, you've never had it so good. Mr. Mark Johnson joins us next here on the Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction.
Ready to discover something new? The next time you're in your car, tune your radio to 94.3 FM.
It's here.
It's Hayes' greatest hits.
Love it.
On 1400 KAYS and 94.3 FM.
94.3 FM, KAYS. Go ahead, check us out.
Guys want to get out. Here's a pass in low to Peters. He's trying to post up Nebeker, spins, shoots, and he got it to go. Boy, Gilbert Peters showing great patience, collecting himself, and then shooting. It's a 10-point game. Gilbert had a nice day as Fort Hays State really from wire to wire played really well on Saturday and beat the Lopers 71-56. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. Gerard Wellbrock joined by men's coach Mark Johnson. The program brought to you in part by BTI. They're your John Deere dealer. Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family, in partnership with your family. Again, we're live at the Golden Q. Stop on by. They've got their daily drink and food specials, burger of the month, and a whole lot more at the Golden Q. If the game's on, they're open. Men's coach Mark Johnson joins us now, and that was really a solid effort. Your team playing some good basketball right now, and it's had one in Kearney in 8 tries. It's been a tough place to play, but boy, your team came out and just a very methodical, steady effort all day long. And you looked up, you're up by 25 at one point in that ball game.
Yeah, I thought we played well. The only negative you could find is to start the game, we gave up too many offensive rebounds. Outside of that, I mean, we were really good. The Nebeker kid is a really good player, but it can't be coincidence the 2 times we play him he struggles. I mean, that's, again, we talked a little bit last week. That's what B does. You know what I mean? He just is such a good defender, and I thought Jeff, when he came in to sub him, did the same thing and made it really hard on that guy, and really overall did a pretty good job defensively. And then offensively, Caleb was really good. His athleticism compared to their guys makes a big difference, and they were having a hard time containing him, and we're starting to shoot the ball, a little bit bit better as the last few weeks have gone on, and that's a big deal. You know, I mean, I think the last 2 games we haven't had to take a lot of threes, but we've shot it well when we've taken them, and that spreads the offense out. And like Jared, you know, he was at 18%, and now you look up for the season, it's up to 26. You know, that's a big part of our offense and a big part of his offense, and hopefully that continues as we move on.
Yeah, 5 of 11 from 3 on Saturday. And how much of the rebounding struggles early? I mean, they're a perimeter team. They shoot a lot of threes, a lot of perimeter. The ball just comes off different than a lot. It just felt like you guys took a while to adjust to how that ball was going to have to be rebounded.
Yeah, you know, I think your natural tendency when the ball goes up, you race to the rim. You know, I thought the first one, for sure, was just a long rebound. That's hard to happen. I thought there was a couple times we let the Murphy kid, number 21, we didn't do a good job, but you got to box out because they're long rebounds. And sometimes when you think boxing out as players, it's just when you're underneath the basket. And those, like I said, they shoot a lot of threes. You have to box out 10 feet from the goal, and sometimes that's just not natural, or you don't have to. That's not trained in your mind. I thought we fixed it, and they really didn't hurt us on the glass the rest of the game.
Heard that highlight at the outset there from Gilbert. He had 8 points, couple of boards, and I thought he was more patient. And I think you may have said that either after a game or on the show at one point, but you feel like sometimes those guys get the ball and they're just trying to get their shot up so quickly because they're worried about the defense. It felt like he was more patient and got a good, collected, solid shot, and you saw the results. He knocked him in.
Yeah, you know, him and B all year have kind of struggled with that, and they just get in such a hurry, want to hurry up and go, and, you know, you got to take, especially when you're as big as Gilbert, just take your time, get set, and those guys have a hard time getting to you because you're just a wide body, and he just needs to understand that, slow down, and, you know, last year he was getting more minutes the way it worked and we were doing. I think, you know, this year, the minutes you kind of get in there and you want to do so well, and you just kind of you're in too big a hurry, and you speed up, and you're just not comfortable. You know, Coach Brown works with our B. He's really working hard with those guys. Slow down. I thought B, like I said, the last few games has been a little bit more patient and all that, and you know, we need that. You know, I mean, those points are valuable for us, and he came in and gave us a great first half when we really needed it.
No doubt about that, and you had to like how your team, it was pretty much even in the second half, but you got that big lead, and they seemed to not drop off in focus or anything. I guess when you lose at a place 8 straight times, that might help, and I'm sure for Jared Vincent, he wasn't going to let anybody drop off because he had never won a game in that place, but it just felt like your team never dropped off of that intensity, which sometimes you can see when you get a big lead like you did at halftime.
For sure. You know, I mean, you want to, you know, we did a good job of taking it from 14 to immediately up close to 20. You know, that's that first, you know, it's universal. The first 5 minutes of the second half for both teams really determines a lot of times what's going to happen in that game, and our guys did a good job of being ready to go. I do think we had that added motivation of we haven't won here in a while, we haven't swept them in a while. You know, Jared and Nagy have been in our program for a long time, have never won there. I think that's your concern moving forward here. These games in the MIAA men's basketball, I don't care who you play. You know, yesterday, Emporia I think is very, very good. Newman's on the road, and it's a 2-point game at halftime. It's not one of those where it's 60 to whatever, nothing. These are games, and you got to make sure we're ready to go, and because that Saturday game loses a lot of importance if we don't take care of business Thursday. So, and we, like I said, we don't have that extra never won here before. So hopefully our guys are mature enough, and we're ready to play from the get-go against Newman.
Well, with that win Saturday, I mean, you start looking at things, and there's obviously about a month left to go in the season, a lot of basketball left and a lot to be determined, but your team has worked hard and have done everything. They're in a great position right now, and it set them up to have a chance for some meaningful games in February, and you want to, as you said, keep maintaining that so every game, the next game's even bigger.
Yeah, you know, we've really tried to, you know, every year you just stay with day after day after day, and we really, you know, about 3 weeks ago figure out where you stand, and we really told that team before this 4-game road trip, like, guys, we got to take every game, but what kind of success we have on these 2 weeks, 4 straight road games. When we come back, we can sit down and assess, evaluate what are these next 3 weeks, what are we capable of accomplishing in making a push in 3 weeks. So still, right now we're 2-0. We got 2 more games, and when we come back on Monday, we'll be able to figure out you know, what we're playing for. What is it? seeding? Is it a conference championship, regular season? Is it bubble on the NCAA tournament? Whatever that will be determined what we get accomplished this week. And like I said, then we can sit down, because I don't think, it's everybody's, it's coaching cliche, but it's really, worry about that day, game to game, practice to practice, and I think that's true. But then when you get to a point where there's the finish line, you got to, set some things what you're trying to get accomplished. And we're really not ready to do that until next week, and this week will determine a lot of what we'll be able to talk about next week.
Two big ones at Newman, then at Central Oklahoma on Saturday, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. We did have a question emailed in this week, and again, you can do so by going to the FHSU Athletics website. New look on the website, looks really good, but under fans, you'll get a drop down. You'll see Ask the Coach there at the bottom. Submit your question. Chance to win a gift certificate here from the Golden Q. And we asked Coach Hobson about this earlier, but your typical game day routine, both home and on the road, how do you guys go about that?
It stays the same. You know what I mean? At home, obviously we have a shoot around, walk in. It really depends on weekdays when you're in class. It's more walk through, not in practice uniform, go over their stuff. We eat pregame meal 4 hours early, 4 hours before the game is when we eat. On a weekend, Saturday, it's getting the uniform, and we go through a light workout, but it's about a 40-minute workout, and then they eat right away right after that 4 hours before, and then show up to the game. On the road, it's the Thursday, Saturday. Now that we've gone afternoon is different. We'll do a shoot around on the road on Thursdays because it's a night game. On Saturday, we play afternoons. I don't want to have to get up because on the road, you get obviously the home team gets the preferred shoot around time. I don't want to get our team up at 7 in the morning to go shoot around. So we'll go down on we'll be the Friday the night before. We'll practice, get on their rims and goals and do that, and then Saturday. Just get up and eat 4 hours before, then show up about the tip-off of the girls' game and be ready to play. But there's no shoot-around that day or walk-through. So that's pretty much how we do it, and it's pretty much we're pretty superstitious in what we do. Our players know our superstitions and know how many free throws we got to make in a row as a team and how many shots before we can go on to the next thing and leave the building.
Well, you wouldn't be a coach if you didn't have a little bit of superstition, and even basketball. And it's not just reserved for baseball, but even basketball coaches have a little bit of superstition.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Kearney, so that was a day of, and will this Newman be a day of trip?
Would be day of. We'll drive up the day of the game and time it. Like I said, try to get on the road and eat roughly 4 hours before, and then we'll try to walk into the gym about when the girls' game's starting. You don't want to get there too early, and there's too much sitting around. I mean, you try to time it that we think works best.
Well, good question. We appreciate that. Get a little insight as to a Tiger game day, and we certainly invite you to send us an email. You can do it anytime and ask the coach on the FHSU Athletics website and get a chance to win a $25 gift card from the Golden Q. Tiger Talk brought to you by the Hayes Orthopedic Institute. Expertise, technology, and compassion all right here. That's the Hayes Orthopedic Institute. They're the official team physicians for Fort Hays State Athletics. We will take a time out. More with men's coach Mark Johnson here on Tiger Talk. This is the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that, we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at hayespost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, Real Country, 99 KZ Country.
Hammocky in the midcourt logo, crosses to his right, now to his left, back to his right, spins down the lane, shoots it over Simmental. It goes off the back rim and drops, and he is fouled. Chance for a three-point play. Yeah, Hammocky, 23.7 rebounds, also had 3 assists on Saturday in the win over Kearney. Only shot 2 threes on the day. Teams have been kind of taking them out. It's kind of that, well, how do you do it? Because he's obviously a good three-point shooter, and then he shows his athleticism, get to the rim, draws some fouls, so he's kind of becoming a pretty tough guy to defend.
Yeah, Kearney's always historically, that's what they stay out and try to cover the three and not give up a lot of threes, and so he was able to get to the rim, and he gets downhill. He's one of the better guards in the league. He shot the ball really well this year. I think he's really improved his shot since he first got here. He's gained 20 pounds, and I think that next step for him, and he's getting better. It seems like left-handed guys have a hard, you can't get too one-sided, you know what I mean? And then that's the next progression, and I think you see he's getting better at it. But to take his game to the next level, which is pretty high level right now, is he's got to be able to go because they kind of shade that left hand now. And once, if he can develop that right hand now, when he go both ways, with his speed and quickness, he's going to be a hard guy to stop. And I think that's just the natural things that he can get as good as he is. I think he can get better because I still think he can do better getting to his right hand.
It'll be fun to watch and see how that progresses throughout his career. Tigers beat the Lopers, now get set for 2 big road games this week. Wichita on Wednesday taking on on Thursday taking on Newman, and then on Saturday afternoon, Central Oklahoma. And you kind of touched on it. Newman gave Emporia a pretty good battle. They're a team that's been we've talked so much about squads not having their full complement of players, and Newman's been right there in that boat. When you played him in Hayes, their 2 best guys didn't even suit, and it makes a huge difference. And so you get them a little bit healthier and at full complement. That's not going to be an easy game. They're so much better than their record has indicated so far this year.
Yeah, no question, and that's just not coach talk. The Israel Barnes kid, Division I transfer, he averages 20 a game when he plays. He's a tough matchup. He's been in and out of the lineup. He played at Emporia, and then Stevie Strong, who's their leading scorer when he's not in. They're a good freshman who arguably probably could be freshman of the year, but probably won't because of their standing. But if they were in the upper half, he'd be freshman of the year. He didn't play. So, and then there's Jaworski, who's really hurt us and all that. So they've been a kind of a hard luck team between injuries, sickness, COVID, that they have not had their team together, but they're a dangerous team. It's always a hard place to play. And we'll have to go out there and play well to win the game. And you don't win a game in the MIAA without showing up and giving a good effort. So we'll have to do that, and hopefully our guys again will be mature enough and understand the value and importance of that game.
Yeah, it seems like there's always a good group of Tiger fans show up for that game. Hopefully that's the case again. That could always help. It almost becomes a mini home court for your guys, and hopefully we see that again on Thursday.
When they draw a little, they get a good crowd. That's a loud place because it's such a small place, and it seems like when Fort Hays goes down there, that's their between our fans and them, it's one of their biggest crowds, and it gets loud and can affect the game. I even felt like that's a big deal. I felt like at Missouri Western when we were turning the ball over in the second half, there was an afternoon game and all that. If they had a crowd, that changes that, but there was never a crowd to really energize their team and maybe, I don't know if intimidate's the word, but yeah, make our guys nervous. And, Newman, that place can get fairly loud.
All right, real quick, Central Oklahoma, tough loss to Washburn, but obviously we saw that. They're as talented as anybody, not just the conference, I think the country on Saturday. That'll be a big one.
Yeah, they're definitely national championship caliber guys. Great size, great athleticism. They're just the Wade kid and Gibbons kid inside are as good a combo, skill, athleticism, size, and then their guards really shoot the ball well.
Yep, it'll be interesting. 2 big games on the road for the Tigers coming up this week. Coach, as always, we appreciate it. We'll see you in Wichita Thursday.
All right, thanks, Rick.
It's Mark Johnson, coach of the Tigers, and that is Tiger Talk here for this Monday. It's brought to you by Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, Adams Brown, The Taco Shop, BTI, Hayes Orthopedic Institute, and G&L Tire and Automotive, and of course brought to you by the Golden Q, 2 blocks east of campus. If the game's on, they're open. 5:30, 7:30 on Thursday from Wichita. The Tigers and the Jets on the air at 5:05, and then on Saturday from Edmond, Oklahoma, 1:30, 3:30 on the air at 1:05. Then don't forget the women's makeup game at Northeastern State 1 week from today. Our next Tiger Talk next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, because of that women's game. We'll see you then right here on Tiger Talk.